Welcome back. This is the fourth and final video in our series, and it looks upon the reflection process that we used with the players, just to try and highlight some of the learning that's taken place, and also then push forward some ideas on how we can develop. Even though it does say on the screen there about playing out from the back, and that the whole series has been about playing out from the back, some of the video footage that you see here is basically combined from a lot of the learning that we'd done in part one in terms of the passing types and the passing combinations. Again, a good visual for the players to have a little look back on and just to reinforce some of that learning. So what we done was we created a few presentations, as you can see in the left hand side there, of the performances in some of the games. We were lucky enough to have a video camera available to us in a few of them, so we used it. Other ones we didn't, so we used some of the tactical pad animations that you've seen in previous videos. And you can see us there on the right hand side with the two pictures on how we went about our presentations. Very lucky that we had a fantastic facility that was indoors that had I think a 42-inch screen, I think that was, on the wall, so that we could link it up and we could do the presentations, and the boys could ask questions, they could have their input into it as well. So all around a process that I think worked very well, and it was good for the boys to see some of the footage of themselves in game scenarios. So again, as I said before, it could reinforce some of that learning. I'm going to show you two of those presentations now, and this one in particular here has some game footage in it. So what we would do is we would pop this little screen up, or something very similar to that, ask them for their feedback first before giving any of the feedback. Very careful in the post-game speech after we'd finished playing that we didn't give too much away, because we didn't want them coming to the training session straight after the game and just regurgitating what they had heard us say. We wanted them to try and formulate their own opinions and create some group chat as well amongst all of them. So in this particular game, we liked the number of split passes and first time passes that we played, so bringing in some of the learning that we looked at in part one with the passing types and combinations. Rotations from goalkeepers were good, from goal kicks were good. So again, some of the learning from part two and part three of the videos, and the number of passing combinations, we liked that as well. However, it was a good performance, but we can't let our performances drop. So what started to happen, I think we did play very well, but there were times we could have been better, so it's important to try and keep standards high at all time. And we reinforced this idea of 24-57, and this was more like a psychological anchor point that we've been using that happened the previous season. I can't recall if we were down 1-0 or if it was a draw, one each, and we then went on to either draw or win the game. But a scenario happened where we've been working on switching the play, and we had tried it a number of times and it hadn't worked, and we tried it one time and we conceded from it. But literally straight after that, we tried the exact same type of movement, very similar situation, and we were able to switch the play from right to left, able to score from it. So we used that idea of 24-57 as an anchor point to never giving up and keeping going. And in fact, it relates to the time in the match that we'd scored the goal. So it was the second half. We played a 25-minute half and we scored with 3 seconds to go. So like I said, it was a tangible experience that they could then relate those emotions and those feelings and that understanding of work rate and never giving up to that specific moment in time. So if we needed to use it in training sessions, or if we needed to use it in game scenarios, we could just pop it out 24-57, and it would do the talking for us in many ways. So a little video of some of the positives from the game. So some of the passing types that we looked to play. The first one here was first time passes, and how we were effective and how we were successful at using those. So as you see in the replay, I think it's number 3, just pulls out to the left hand side. Good body position in that you can see where the ball's coming from and see where the ball's going to. Just about there, opens his body up and is able to pop that in first time, and a good run from midfield, as we talked about previously, the third man run in part 3, and we were unlucky here not to follow it up and put it away. But still, some of the learnings that came through from part 1. Again, 2 quick succession first time passes around the defender, 1, 2, and he has every right to have a pop from that distance. The ball just sits up for him. What was good was, as soon as the ball comes in, then centre midfielder recognises that he's not going to get it, so he just moves away, creates a space, opens his body up, so now he's a good body position. Number 7 can see where the ball's coming from, where it's going to go to, pops it in, and then we have a pop. Split passes, so passes between two defenders or potentially between two units. So we win possession here. Right winger does a good job of holding position, doesn't come in too early, which creates a space for through ball. And we drive through. Have a heavy touch, but it was a good movement nonetheless. Playing a little triangle in there, which was nice. Opens his body up, great first touch. And now you can see the play in front of him. And he's able to slip a nice ball through. Great recovery challenge, all the same. So again, a little pop through. I think we score from this one. So holds his run very well, and then he switches the play with the left foot, I think it is, across the goal. And we pop it through. So all in all, moving on then, in the same game, we score from a nice little switch of play. We keep possession very well. We don't panic. We're patient. Ball comes back inside now, and left winger here holds his run very well. Again, great first touch off his back foot, opens up, sees a space, a little bit of variation in the pass over the top, and we're able to knock it through. Again, what was nice about this was that, like I said, we remained patient, we kept the ball well, comes outside, comes back inside, good first touch, and a great bit of individual creativity there just to knock it over the top. We can't leave goalkeepers out, so pop this in just to highlight how important he was in the whole performance as well, and a fantastic touch, or sorry, fantastic save to knock it onto the post. So again, even though a lot of the play that we talked about in previous videos didn't really highlight too much on the goalkeeper in terms of what he has to do without the ball, it was more what he done with the ball. So we added that little video in at the end just to make him feel part of it, but also because he deserved the praise. It was a fantastic save. So this second presentation now just looks at how we done that without game footage. So we looked at using some of the tactical pad diagrams that you've seen in previous videos. So with this game, we wanted to compare the difference between the first half and the second half performance. Again, asking the boys what they thought was the difference. We switched the play more often. We were more patient. We used our goalkeeper to maintain possession and switch the play, and found more combinations in the final third. Played out from the back with a lot more confidence. So in that game, in the first half, we were pressed really high. They went man for man, found it very, very difficult to play out at all, play our own rhythm, but we were able to come together and fix that, play with a bit more confidence, and maintain the sort of style of play that we wanted to maintain at that moment. So using our goalkeeper then to switch the play, it looked something a bit like this. A scenario happened where the ball was out on the left-hand side. We didn't rush it, we couldn't go forward, so we went back to centre-back, who then knocked back into the goalkeeper, and then we were able to switch the play from there and maintain possession. A nice little visual too with adding names in, showing movements. We could talk about the movement to open up that switch pass from A. O'Neill out to McCalmont there, which was movement by Jackson in the middle, so it was good to see that it all came together. These were moments that happened in the game. I just took a little sort of mental note of and was able to go home then and just produce these videos, and we talked it through the session afterwards. Switching the play using the centre midfielder, so we couldn't go forward again. So midfielder is highlighted there. We were able then to play forward and switch through him. Just like we spoke about in the previous video, in that we'd always asked at least one centre midfielder to hold his position behind the other two. And that moment in time was a good point for us to go in and say, well, here's the reason why we do it, because in that scenario, if we didn't do that, we would have had to have taken the ball back or further back about 10 or 15 yards, and that would allow them to press us and step up the pitch. But because we had that player in that position at that moment, it was only a 5-yard pass, and we were able to switch play more effectively. So playing out of the back successfully, playing through the thirds, which was two of the other positives that we looked at, and how that we done that. Playing out from the back, which is what the change we made in the second half, was we played our centre backs just a little bit higher, just to see what the opposition would do. They stepped off us, which allowed our centre midfielder to come inside, receive the ball, and then play forward. So played directly through the thirds in that movement. So it showed just a little bit more creativity there in the centre backs. Now this wasn't actually something that we'd asked them to do at halftime, if I can recall. This was something that they'd done themselves. The centre backs played a little bit higher from goal kicks to try and force the opposition to either step onto us or to step off us. And that moment they stepped off us and allowed our centre midfielder to come in and pick up the ball. So another moment of playing at the back was we were able to play to the feet of the striker. So another option might have been that we talked about in the previous video, part 3, that if we couldn't play out directly into the feet of midfielders or centre backs, we might be able to, with good movement, play into the feet of the striker. So directly from centre back, striker then comes short, and they were able to play straight through to him as he moves. And that movement happened in the game. I think we actually scored from it. So it showed us that, okay, we don't really have to go from centre back to centre midfielder to winger and the feet of the striker. We can simply go from goalkeeper, centre back into the feet of the striker, as long as the movement allows it and the space opened up, which it did do in that instance. Quick and effective combinations was another positive that we looked at. So when we were getting closed down, we didn't panic. We remained confident on the ball, a bit more patient, and a few of the combinations started to come forward. This one in particular, I highlighted, was very good because it was about creating overloads into the wide areas, which we'd spoke about in part 2, and it was nice to see them actually go into a game and be able to replicate that. So that concludes our 4 videos. I hope someone somewhere has found them useful, and if not, I suppose you can just bin them and don't watch them, I suppose. But if you have found them useful, can you please like, share, tag, comment, just to spread them out there and get as much people seeing them as possible, because it's good that it allows us, this downtime allows us to communicate and talk to each other and go through ideas and things. Like I said, always open to have a conversation, to answer questions, to ask questions, just to bounce ideas off people. So if you're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, that's where all these videos go anyway. Just please get in touch, and a few more coming out next week. So thanks for watching, and stay safe.